The galaxy had always been a place of strange and wondrous creatures. Some were revered, some were feared, and some were bought and sold on the galactic black market, an underworld that traded in anything from precious artifacts to dangerous, sentient beings. But there was one creature that no one seemed to want. A baby dragon, small and weak, with broken wings, cast aside like a piece of trash. The dragon's name was Ignis, though few called him by that name. He had been born with beautiful golden scales, shimmering like sunlight, but that beauty had been marred by the accident that had left his wings in tatters. His wings were once majestic, capable of carrying him through the skies with grace, but now they were twisted, fractured, and unusable. His wings had been broken during a botched escape from a poacher's trap when he was just a hatchling. His mother had fought fiercely to protect him, but the damage had been done. Left in the hands of traders, Ignis was now nothing more than a commodity, his value reduced to little more than his rarity. He had been passed from one owner to the next, each person more disgusted than the last by the poor creature's broken wings. They had no use for him. He was too weak, too broken, too much of a liability. And so, he was sold again and again, until finally, he found himself in a cage on a back-alley black market stall, surrounded by curious, cruel faces. The stench of sweat and alien perfumes clung to the air as the traders haggled over his price, hoping to get rid of him as quickly as possible. To most, he was a worthless creature, nothing more than a broken toy. Then, a young girl appeared. Her name was Mira, and she was different from the others who had come to the market. She was small, wearing a simple coat with a hood, her brown eyes shining with determination and kindness. She wasn't like the rough-and-tumble buyers who typically came to the black market, looking for things they could flip for profit. Mira had no money to spare, but she had a heart that could see through the surface. Mira had heard rumors of a rare creature being sold, an injured dragon, one that needed help. She had grown up hearing stories of dragons, of their majestic flight, and their incredible power. But the dragons she knew about were powerful, ancient beings that lived on faraway planets, not weak, broken babies being sold for a few credits. Mira couldn't stand the thought of such a beautiful creature being treated this way. When she approached the stall where Ignis was kept, the stall owner, a tall, gruff alien with red skin, sneered at her. He had been selling creatures like Ignis for years and had grown used to the disinterest and scorn of his buyers. He saw Myra's young age and small stature and decided she wouldn't have the means to buy anything. "You want this one?" The stall owner laughed, pointing to the cage. "He's a worthless thing, not even worth the trouble. His wings are broken. No one wants him." Mira, undeterred, stepped closer. Ignis was curled up in the back of the cage, his golden scales dulled and his wings twitching weakly. He looked up at Mira with eyes full of pain and fear, but there was something else there too, a flicker of hope. She could see it in his eyes. "I'll take him," Mira said, her voice steady. "How much?" The stall owner raised an eyebrow. "You really want him? You're going to regret it. I'll let you have him for 50 credits, but he's a liability. Take him or leave him." Mira didn't hesitate. She reached in her small pouch, pulled out the last of her savings, and handed them over. The transaction was quick, and as she unlocked the cage, the stall owner sneered once more before moving away. Mira gently cradled the baby dragon in her arms, her heart swelling with compassion. Ignis was light, fragile, but she could feel the faint heat of his fire deep within him. She whispered softly to him, offering comfort. "It's okay," Mira said, her voice soothing. "You're safe now." Mira was no stranger to hardship. She had grown up on a distant mining colony where things were often difficult, where resources were scarce, and every day felt like a battle for survival. But she had always believed that no one, no creature, deserved to be abandoned. She had seen too much suffering, and she wasn't going to let Ignis suffer any longer. She took the baby dragon back to her humble quarters on the outskirts of the station, a small room she rented in the building where she worked. Her room was cramped, with barely enough space for the small cot and a table for her work, but it was all she had. There, she carefully laid Ignis on the bed and set to work. She found old scraps of fabric to wrap his wings, trying to stabilize them, and applied some medical ointments to soothe the damage. She didn't know if she could heal him. She wasn't a medic, but she was going to try. For the first time in a long while, Ignis felt a sense of safety. Mira didn't ask for anything in return. She gave him food, water, and a soft bed to rest on. And as the days passed, Ignis grew stronger. His wings were still broken, but his spirit began to heal. Mira took him for walks, showing him the stars through the station's windows and whispering stories to him about the dragons of old, about the skies they once ruled. But despite the care Mira gave him, there were still challenges. Ignis couldn't fly, and that was a constant reminder of his brokenness. Some days, when Mira would carry him out into the open, he would look up at the sky and flap his wings, yearning to feel the wind beneath him. But he could never quite make it. It hurt him deeply, and it hurt Mira to see him struggle. Yet through it all, he never gave up. One evening, as Mira sat by her window, Ignis beside her, she noticed a strange flicker of light outside. A small ship hovered near the station, its silhouette distinct against the backdrop of stars. As the ship landed, a group of shadowy figures emerged, the unmistakable mark of black market traders. They had come for Ignis. Mira's heart sank. She knew they wouldn't give up on him so easily. They wanted him back, to sell him to the highest bidder, to use him as a mere commodity once again. They had no idea what he meant to her, or the progress they had made together. "Keep your head down, Ignis," she whispered urgently, trying to keep calm. "I won't let them take you." As the traders approached, Mira stood in front of the door, blocking it with all the defiance she could muster. The leader of the group, a burly alien with a cruel smirk, sneered at her. "Move aside, girl," the trader said gruffly. "The dragon is ours. We don't care if you've gotten attached. He's worth far more to us than to you." Mira's hands shook, but her voice was steady. "No, he's mine now. I bought him fair and square, and you won't take him." The trader laughed, raising his hand to signal the others. But before he could give the order, something remarkable happened. Ignis, weak but determined, stepped forward. His wings flared out, the golden scales catching the light. And as he stood there, his wings pulsed, and a tiny flame flickered from his mouth, lighting the darkness in front of him. The traders froze. They had underestimated the dragon. Ignis wasn't just a broken creature. He was a symbol of hope, a being of great power, still buried beneath the surface. "You will regret this," the trader snarled. But Mira stood her ground. "You can take your threats and leave," Mira said, her voice firm. "Ignis is mine. I'm not giving him up." There was a tense moment of silence, and then the traders backed off, muttering angrily as they retreated. Ignis, still weak but full of spirit, let out a soft growl. Mira smiled at him, relieved and proud. "Look at you," she said softly. "You're strong, and you're not alone anymore." And in that moment, Ignis felt it. He wasn't broken. He was whole, in his own way, and he had found a place where he was loved, where he could heal. Mira had given him more than just a second chance at life. She had given him a family. As Mira looked out at the stars, she knew that this was only the beginning. Together, she and Ignis would face the challenges of the universe, no matter how impossible they seemed.